everyone. I'm Joy Chick, and I run the Identity Division at Microsoft. My team builds the services that secure access to everything for everyone. Last time we met, the theme of my talk was securing remote work, and we're now a year into our new reality, and two trends stand out. One, people need even more flexibility as we work, learn, and collaborate in a world without perimeters. And two, bad actors are getting even more sophisticated. They're adding new attack vectors and are using them all at once, as we just saw with SolariGate. Security has become top of mind for you and your business leaders. Because with everything shifted online, the stakes have never been higher. And that's why we need a security strategy that combines maximum flexibility with maximum security. And we believe that Zero Trust is the right approach. Zero Trust says, make no assumptions about who you are or what you're trying to do. I will explicitly verify everything before I approve any access request. I'm going to give the least amount of access necessary. And I will act as if I've already been breached. Because then, if an attacker does get inside my network, the systems and the processes that I have in place will protect me. These three principles define Zero Trust, and identity is the linchpin. For IT pros and security professionals, implementing Zero Trust should be simple and straightforward. And for users, it should never get in the way. It should honor familiar workflows and habits. The good news is that you can design Zero Trust defenses around people and the way they work, whether they are on the front line using their phones or in front of an admin console managing your systems. By making strategic updates to your existing identity infrastructure, you can make life easier for you and your users now, and you can harden your defenses for the long term. It is a good time to do this. It's almost springtime, a time we get our homes in order, and you can do the same with your digital estate. So let's invite Ricky to walk through one of pandemic era's trickiest scenarios, getting new hires set up remotely. This includes setting up a new account, adding certifications to an employee profile, and getting access to apps. Ricky, over to you.
Hey, my name is Ricky Pullen. I'm a program manager at Microsoft and I help build Azure AD. For today though, I'm a brand new hire to the Woodgrove app development team, and I've got some first day stuff that I need to take care of. Rather than Woodgrove's IT department having to image my machine or provision a security key, I can do all of this on my own. IT doesn't have to touch any of it. Woodgrove shipped me a new work device, a new security key, and a list of instructions to get me started. The very first thing I need to do is register my key. Since I need my key to set up my work machine, I need to use a different device to register my key. I've got my personal Mac with me that I can use. My instructions include a temporary access pass I can use to set up my account and to register my security token. Once I do this, I'll never have to use a password. I'll open up Edge, navigate to the security page, type in my email address, and enter my security pass. I'll plug in my USB security key, choose a unique PIN, register my fingerprint, and to finish up, I'll name and save the key so that I can actually sign in. And that's it. Enterprise-grade security in seconds. Super simple, but way more secure than just a password. Now that my key's linked to Woodgrove, I can use it to set up my work PC. Let me jump over to my work machine now. I'm halfway through the setup process, and now it's asking me to sign in. I'll select the security key, pop it in my USB port, touch the fingerprint sensor, and I'm signed in, and no passwords. Autopilot kicks in next. This process pushes all of Woodgrove's security policies, applications, and even certificates for my development environment. And I'm at the desktop. I'm gonna pull up my email to see what other first day stuff I need to get done. My manager did send me an email, and it looks like they need me to take a White Hat certification. But actually, I think I've done this one. I can share it with Woodgrove using the link Pramila sent me. Woodgrove is requesting that I share my proof of certification with them, and I really don't want to have to study for that exam again, so I'll allow it. And we're done. Woodgrove has my certification, and I can move on to the next thing. I need to make sure that I can get to a few different resources in both Azure and AWS. The easiest place to get a good look at all of my applications is in the My Apps portal. IT has already created a Woodgrove development team collection. This is just a few apps and resources that everyone at Woodgrove might find useful. But I also need access to a few resources in AWS. And it looks like I'm in. I've got access to all of my resources in AWS, and I've still got access to everything in Azure. And again, I didn't get prompted for a password. I've got one more thing that I need to take care of today. We're seeing some strange behavior in one of our applications, and I've been asked to look into it. I'm thinking that this probably means the rest of my day is going to be spent digging through logs. I do all of my troubleshooting using in private mode, so let's get that up and going. Since Woodgrove doesn't allow standing admin access, I'm gonna have to go into privileged identity management and elevate to the application developer role. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen this before. Apparently I can't activate application developer from in private mode. I'll need to switch to a regular Edge session. So let me go back to Edge, but this time I won't use private browsing mode. I've already got the Azure portal open. I'll click on privileged identity management. It prompts to take me through conditional access really quick. And it's done. I'm gonna start troubleshooting and I'll turn you back over to Joy.
Thank you, Ricky. Whoa, in just 5 minutes, Ricky is ready to build apps in AWS and Azure. And as you just saw, the granular controls help him stay secure without getting his way. So how do we do that? Let's walk through how to configure each step of Ricky's experience. The first piece is strong authentication, and that means multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Of course, MFA is non-negotiable for admin-level accounts, but your organization is more secure if all of your users are protected. And now, to make MFA adoption even easier, you can go passwordless. As of today, passwordless authentication is generally available for cloud and hybrid environments. This is a big milestone for us in the industry. With his FIDO2 security key, Ricky signed in once and got access to everything he needed. What he did not need is a password, so he will never have to call help desk for a password reset. Many of you are piloting our passwordless technologies. Axiata is the first company in Southeast Asia to go passwordless, using Windows Hello for Business and a Microsoft Authenticator app. And in Europe, the Swedish municipality Umeå went passwordless in just 10 days with Azure AD and YubiKeys. And in fact, there are already over 200 million passwordless users across consumer and enterprise. Let's see just how easy it is to enable this. Inbar, take it away.
Hey, I'm Inbar. I'm excited to be part of the Microsoft Passwordless Authentication team. As we all know, passwords are one of the most common attack vectors. Fortunately, it is easy to set up a passwordless account using Temporary Access Pass. This is a time-limited passcode that allows users to register for passwordless authentication methods and recover access to their account without a password. Let me show you how to configure this. For this demo, I'm an admin at Woodgrove, responsible for managing authentication methods. In the Azure portal, I start with the authentication method page, where we can enable passwordless methods like FIDO2 security key, phone signing with the Authenticator app, Temporary Access Pass, and others. I can enable Temporary Access Pass for our entire organization or scope it to specific users and groups, so we can test the experience before doing a company-wide rollout. Now that I've enabled the policy, let's create a Temporary Access Pass for Ricky. When I generate a new Temporary Access Pass, I can set start time, duration, and limit the pass to a one-time use. That way, it will only work on Ricky's first day, and will be useless any other time. Now we can include temporary access pass in Ricky's welcome kit. Once Ricky will register his authentication method as an administrator, I will be able to manage them from here. In the Refresh Authentication Methods activity page, I see the number of users registered for each authentication method and how many users sign into my tenant with each method. Some of you have automated the new employee onboarding experience with dedicated applications. If you want to add these new experiences to your applications, we've made temporary access pass and all other passwordless methods available through the Microsoft Graph APIs. So give it a try. I bet you love it as much as we do. Back to you, Joy.
Thank you, Inbar. The temporary access pass is in public preview today. This is a new addition to our passwordless offering. We look forward to the day when passwords join floppy disks and modems as a thing of the past that we have to explain to our kids. Once Ricky got signed in, the first thing he did was confirm that he completed his security training. To do this, he shared a digital card in his Microsoft Authenticator app. This digital card represents a new kind of credential that is portable and verifiable. It is based on a new open standard that will make it easy to add instant verification to existing identity systems and workflows. It uses an open source blockchain solution that no single organization owns or controls, including Microsoft. And it looks just like any other digital card in your wallet, but it's so much more. Verifiable credentials will revolutionize the way we exchange digital information. We can verify employment history, certifications, citizenship, and other personal information across organizational and geographical boundaries. And we do this in a matter of minutes instead of days or weeks. Information exchanges are more trustworthy and private. For example, organizations can verify someone's age without seeing, collecting, or storing their date of birth. And individuals only need to verify their information once to receive a credential that they can use everywhere. And they can revoke access with a simple tap at any time. We made it simple to issue verifiable credentials right in Azure AD. Preeti will show you how to set this up.
Hello everyone, I'm Preeti Rastogi. I'm an engineering manager in the decentralized identity team at Microsoft. At the last Ignite, we showed you a demo of how different organizations can issue verifiable credentials and how an end user can use these credentials to present their identity to different verifiers. Since then, team has done a lot to simplify this experience of issuing credentials. And in today's demo, I'm going to play the role of a Woodgrove admin who wants to issue a verified employee card. So let's walk through this together. Here is the Getting Started page where I am supposed to provide some basic information about my organization, like the company name, and I also need to create a key vault. This key vault manages the public and the private keys that are going to be used to sign the verifiable credential. And of course, these keys are cryptographically protected. Next, I can review all the settings associated with my issuer. I can also add and verify a domain. A verified domain is a badge that is shown to the end user so they can trust your organization and also trust the credentials that are issued by your organization. With this, I'm ready to create a new credential. Again, I need to provide some custom details about my credential, like the credential name, and I also need to provide two files. First, I need to configure the display file that defines the credential look and feel that's going to be displayed on the Microsoft Authenticator app, so that the end user can relate and validate the card that are being used. The second file is a rule file that I need to configure, which actually explains the criteria and the input that a user needs to provide in order to get the card. In our example, Ricky has to complete the security training in order to get the card. And this is all what's needed to create a new credential. In case you need to find more information about the schema and the format for the rule and display file, there are Learn More handy links. In the last page, there are all the information that is needed for you to verify end-to-end. As an admin, I can configure my app and website for users to present and request credentials. There's also a link to download the Authenticator app so that you can verify the whole scenario end-to-end. We cannot wait for you all to try this out and provide us with some good feedback. Thank you, and over to Joy now.
Thank you, Preeti. Azure AD verifiable credentials will be in public preview in just a few weeks. Customers are already piloting this technology. One example is Keio University, one of the largest universities in Japan. They will use verifiable credentials for issuing digital student IDs and graduation certificates. To make adoption easier, we have spent the last year working with the community and customers to refine each step of the user journey. And to enable verification at scale, we are partnering with leading providers to reimagine identity verification in a way that improves security and better protects people's privacy. We invite you to start using verifiable credentials with your partners, customers, and employees right away. Together, we can establish a more trustworthy identity ecosystem that respects privacy. So, back to Ricky's first day. When he opened the My App portal, he saw all of the apps available to him. He could get to his AWS resources using his Azure AD credentials. Thanks to a new integration, the AWS SSO app is now available in our app gallery. We know that you manage multi-cloud environments and that developers building apps for Azure, AWS, and the GCP want single sign-on to all of these environments. So we're constantly expanding the Azure AD app gallery with as many pre-integrations as possible, even with our competitors. When Ricky tried to elevate his privileges in Azure Portal, he got blocked because he was using in private browsing mode. Your conditional access policies can now require step-up authentication based on the actions the user is trying to perform. For example, you can let users view an invoice in your accounting app on a personal device as long as they sign in with MFA. But if they want to do a wire transfer from a device that is not compliant, you can block them. Now I will hand it over to Ramiro, who will demo how to configure conditional access policies with authentication context.
Hi everybody, my name is Ramiro Calderon, and my role here in the identity team is to help customers to get up and running in Azure AD quickly. For this demo, I am the security administrator here at Woodgrove, and I am responsible for conditional access policies. Let me show you how I blocked Ricky from activating his privilege role from an in-private browser session. Until now, you could only apply one control type, require MFA over here, when you activate a role in Azure Portal. Now, you have much more granular controls with authentication context. For example, here, I'm going to choose to require a compliant device for this particular role. So here's where I choose this authentication context called Woodgrove Trusted Devices. So now let's see how this connects end-to-end with the conditional access policies. In the conditional access menu, now we see an option called Authentication Context, and that is basically a customizable list of identifiers. Here, I have one identifier called Woodgrove Trusted Devices. That's what we saw in the PIM configuration. Now, let's look at the policies. Okay, so let's find the conditional access policy that requires Ricky to activate his application developer role. Here, with the new search capability, I'm going to look for privilege role, and here it is, Woodgrove Privileged Access. In the controls of the policy over here, I have require compliant device. Earlier in the demo, Ricky used an in private browser session. When you do that, there's no device information sent when the user authenticates, which is why the policy was not satisfied and Ricky failed. Now, when I go to the Cloud Apps or Actions part of the policy, this is where the new capability kicks in. Here, you see that this policy, it can be configured to apply to the authentication context, and here I chose Woodgrove Trusted Devices. To recap, to improve the controls when activating a privileged role, I did two things. First, I created an authentication context and a corresponding conditional access policy. Then I look up the action, in this case, activating a role in PIM and associated with the authentication context that I just created. This is only one scenario, but you can use it in many other cases. For example, Microsoft Cloud App Security and SharePoint Online use this feature to protect specific sensitive files. We're going to make this feature available to SaaS applications and developers so they can also use them in their line of business applications. Now, back to Joy.
Thank you, Ramiro. Authentication context for conditional access is now in public preview. It gives you yet another way to strengthen security while reducing the burden on your users. We know that your application environments are diverse. Most are hybrid and many are multi-cloud. But the only way to secure your defenses for the long term is to manage everything from the cloud, and that includes application authentication. When you rely on a federation service and authentication happens on-premise, then you have to defend your identity infrastructure on your own, and it's hard to get end-to-end visibility across your entire environment. You can do so with Microsoft Defender for Identity. But when you use Azure AD authentication, we protect the identity infrastructure for you from the cloud. Our cloud-scale machine learning systems reason over trillions of signals in real time, so we can detect and remediate attacks that nobody else can see. But it can be tough to figure out which apps to move to Azure AD when they use a mix of authentication technologies, from ADFS to other identity providers. Sana is here to show you some of the new tools that will make it easier to move apps to Azure AD. Sana, over to you.
Hi, I'm Sana, and at Microsoft, I help customers secure user access to applications. For this demo, I'm a Woodgrove admin responsible for managing connectivity to apps. At Woodgrove, we're in the process of upgrading single sign-on for our apps from on-premises Active Directory Federation services. Cloud-based authentication methods like password hash sync provide better security, and if we can authenticate in the cloud, we get the benefit of cloud-only security tools like risk-based conditional access policies. We're going to check our ADFS Usage and Insights report to identify whichever apps are ready to connect to Azure AD. Here on the right, you can see which apps have a check mark, and these are fully ready to migrate. Let's start with ServiceNow because this is a critical app for both IT and end users like Ricky. We could step through the wizard built into Enterprise Apps menu to connect ServiceNow to Azure AD, but instead, let's take advantage of the powerful APIs that Azure AD offers to help us automate identity management at scale. We're going to run a PowerShell script that adds any SaaS application from the Azure AD App Gallery. You can find the script that I'm running from GitHub. That's it, ServiceNow is connected to Azure AD. To configure it for single sign-on, we need to scroll down to step number 4, and we can enter in our admin credentials here. Great, now I'm going to press Configure Now, and Azure AD tells us that our configuration was successful. Let's click on this test button here, and this will help us confirm if we did everything right. Cool. It looks like we did. The checkmark here confirms that Azure AD successfully issued a token. Everything looks good, and it was all a seamless app migration process. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Sana. The ADFS Activity and Insights report is now generally available. This report assesses all ADFS applications for compatibility with Azure AD. It checks for any issues and it gives guidance on preparing them for migration. You can also get help connecting legacy on-premises applications to Azure AD from our secure hybrid access partners. We have expanded the list to include Perimeter 81, as well as partners like DataWizard, Strata, and Silverford, who can help you discover and prioritize which applications and resources to migrate to Azure AD. We covered a lot of ground today. The new tools that we showed you will make it easier to provide seamless experiences in the hybrid workplace and to strengthen your defenses against increasingly sophisticated attacks. But even the best tools are only effective if you know exactly how to use them. We understand that staying current with the latest innovations and best practices can be challenging. So, we have introduced a security, compliance, and identity learning pass on Microsoft Learn. Each pass comes with a free online training modules, and you can take certification exams to add to a professional profile. You can check these out today. Until we meet again, here are 4 practical things you can do to help secure your organization. Go passwordless. Try verifiable credentials. Refine your conditional access policies with authentication context. And connect the rest of your apps to Azure AD. Let's make 2021 the year of passwordless. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was an amazing session. Hi, I'm Jessica Feku, Security Product Marketing Manager, and you are in store for an amazing event. Now, you think it can't get any better than this, but trust me, it does. Check out the Connection Zone, where you can dive deeper into all of the topics you've seen today by joining our subject matter experts in a live Ask the Expert session. We also have some super cool technical deep dives that are available to you on demand and great interstitials featured throughout the event. The journey doesn't have to stop today. When Ignite is over, you can continue your learning experience by joining us at an upcoming virtual training day where you can get hands-on training from instructors, making you ready to secure your digital environment with our newly launched certifications. There are 3 all-new role-based certifications for your information protection admin, security operations analysts, and identity and access management administrators. Plus, our security fundamental certifications are here to help you get started. Be sure to stay up to date with the latest security product news at Microsoft by visiting us at www.microsoft.com/security or follow us on social at Microsoft Security on Twitter and LinkedIn.